guys, welcome. This is one of the segments we do where I take questions from the internet or questions from whatever. Normally Chala has a list for me. It's kind of a mixed bag this time because depending on who you talk to, the biggest thing going on right now in real estate is this National Association of Realtors Settlement. And when I say depending on who you talk to, because all of my customers, the biggest top 3 questions I still get today is, how much is my house worth? How quickly can you sell my house? And should I sell my house right now in whatever version that is, right? That's always the question because I guess if people are asking realtors questions, that's the questions they're asking. But let's jump into the NAR settlement because there is a media blitz on it. And let me make clear that this is my opinions, not the opinions of the guys' company who I work for, the National Association of Realtors, or any other entity, just mine, because I'm sure they all want me to say that at some point. So let's get into it. So the most asked question actually to me, and mainly it's a lot of it by people I know, my friends, is, are you upset by the NAR settlement? That's a tricky one. Yeah, yes and no, and it depends, right? So when all this came about, everything was expected to be sort of litigated really in more like midsummer, June-ish. National Association of Realtors stepped out in front of it. I don't necessarily agree with what they did, but I understand why they did it. Basically, they, and I believe this just had to be an opening that they saw to settle and get out of the way of potential $4.7 billion worth of litigation to the members. So they took it, and the lawyers, are getting, I don't know, between 80 and 160 million, so they're like fine with it. But I don't necessarily agree with what they did. I mean, and look, they made sure that it says there was no fault of the NAR or any realtor and all this, but whatever. It's a bunch of blah blah. So am I upset about it? From that aspect, a little bit. I think they jumped the gun, and I wish they'd have fought a little harder to actually, fight the merits of the case. Because I think that, in my opinion, the case itself is not the strongest one, and B, it's not defined enough to be a national solution. And the reason I say that is because they came up with a national settlement for a business that's regulated state by state, right? None of this litigation came from the state of Florida, by the way. It came from other states. Most of them were middle of the United States that do business completely differently than us. Florida has its own set of laws and rules. So my opinion is that they should have went state by state because that's how it's regulated. It's not a national regulation on real estate law. It's state regulations that are really the crux of it. And here in the state of Florida, 80% of the case is not applicable. It just doesn't, the only thing that changes, and this is the change. And this is one of the reasons that I am upset about it, because the only change in the state of Florida from the seller's perspective is that we are no longer allowed to advertise on the MLS what the seller offer of compensation is to a buyer's agent. Call me old-fashioned, I don't know. I think, I was, when I got into this business and I started in auctions, Lamar Fisher, transparency. That's what he always pushed. We want to make sure everybody knows everything that we know. We want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible because that's, everybody has the right to that. And we want to make sure that nobody is ever accusing us of hiding anything. And I agree with that. Like, there's no reason for us to hide anything. And here in the state of Florida, we have our listing agreements state on them total commission that's going to be offered to the buyers. It's in there, and it's right in writing, and the seller signs that. Right, so everybody knows what those compensation amounts are and who's going to get paid those amounts of compensation. Apparently, in some other states, that doesn't happen. Some states, it's completely. I mean, they're lawyer-driven states, and the whole industry is different. So I don't agree with a national solution to a statewide regulated issue. So that I'm upset about. I'm a little upset that and we'll get into this more further because there's other questions that involve this directly, but I'm a little upset that a small group of lawyers just became very, very, very wealthy by saying that, realtors have been screwing people over for years, and the people that the lawyers are representing are going to get next to nothing. So that's a whole other thing. And that's tort. I've never been a fan of tort. I've always been against tort. Every single time that a class action lawsuit occurs, attorneys make a lot of money. The public gets a very small amount of money, and then the cost of whatever it is goes up again for the public. I'll give you a perfect example. So AT&T, there was a thing. I got a check 72 cents, and I thought about this before all this came about with the NAR too. Down at my house in Key Largo, I got a check 72 cents, and congratulations on your whatever. I'm like, what are you talking about? What lawsuit? Well, it turns out I opted into it because that was page 89, subsection 32A of my agreement when I signed on with AT&T, that would automatically go into any litigation if they had to, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know what number I was, but I got 72 cents from a class action lawsuit. I went and looked it up, and it was 16, and it wasn't a huge one actually. It was $16.5 million, but the lawyers got 40%. 60% got distributed to the class representatives, or whatever the hell not the three people that got up and actually got $14, but the rest of everybody else, they got automatically included. And there was 698,000, something like that, or whatever the number was. But again, I got 72 cents. They got 40% of 16 million, and then the service went up right after the ruling by 72 cents a month. Well, guess what? I got no, it wasn't 72. It wasn't that exact number. It was some $7 and something a month. Wasn't exactly, but it was funny how close it correlated to my 72 cents. And that was because they had to pay the lawyers, and they had to pay all the, all that class action lawsuits. So to me, class action's always been kind of BS. If I wrong you as a realtor, sue me. You have every right to. And the other thing too is if you get automatically opted in, then you lost your right to sue me as an individual, because part of what their settlement is their, I guess, according to the ruling, now I'm covered. I'm done. Everything's good. I don't know. It's going to cost me money in the end, I guarantee it, because my NAR dues are going to go up. There's going to be additional costs to me on it, but whatever. I digress, as I often do. So yeah, I'm a little upset about that part of it. The other thing is that there's really no clarity to it, and I don't know. I honestly, the whole case purports to protect the public and to right some wrongs that were done to the public by realtors, right? People ask me every day, well, how do I get my money? I'm like, I don't know. Nobody sent me a letter saying I'm getting money. I talked to all my neighbors, and I'm like, well, did you get a letter saying that you're going to get paid? Oh, no. So nobody really knows what's going on. And here's why. None of this is even adjudicated. It was a settlement that was proposed by NAR and based on a ruling. It's not adjudicated. It's not done. The earliest that it will get adjudicated is in July. Okay? That's the earliest. That's what they're targeting. Those targets almost never get met because there's going to be a bunch of different, people that are going to say, well, wait a minute, we need to change this. There's going to be different lawyers and different judges from different whatever. Everybody get their own. It's that lawyer type stuff. It's a mess, right? So it takes a little bit. Once it gets adjudicated, then the laws in the state of Florida will have to change. Okay. The media, and this isn't even the settlement. This is about the media and the way that things are being projected. And the way that there's agents that are going out right now and telling people that the law has changed and the rules have changed, and it's not. So they're lying to their customers, and it's in my mind that's not helping anybody, right? So they need to get out and get some clarification going on. Right now, absolutely nothing's changed anywhere in the United States. Nothing's going to change until at least July 1. So my job, I'm still beholden by the laws of the state of Florida. So we are still going to conduct business based on the current laws until the laws change. Okay? And then we'll conduct it by however the laws change. But I am very upset that the messaging of that got lost, because now there's a big confusion puddle, right? Because everybody thinks that something happened, and I haven't even got to the spinoff stuff that just clickbait. But the one thing that actually happened has been messaged so poorly to the public in general, and even to realtors. Now they're finally getting, slamming it down realtor throats, but if you're going to make a drastic, statement, and I blame the National Association of Realtors as much as I blame anybody else, be clear about it. Be clear about what it is. Okay. Don't just go out and make a generalized blanket sort of statement. Be clear about it. Right. So, yeah, I'm upset about multiple things about and I don't know that it really actually helps the public, but we'll get into that too. I do want to clarify one more time though. Nothing has been adjudicated. This is a settlement agreement based on a ruling. There's nothing legal about it yet. It hasn't been adjudicated. There is no final answer on it. There is going to be no final answer until at least July, okay? At least July of this year, and it'll probably get pushed back later. The only change in the state of Florida in anything on the seller side is that the seller we may no longer advertise in the MLS what the seller offer of compensation to buyer agents is. That is the only change on the seller side. On the buyer side, okay, and this hasn't been, again, I think it's a great idea. In the ruling, NAR said we will make every single realtor have their buyers sign a buyer broker agreement that states clearly who's paying the commissions and how it's being paid, which that we've already had that, right? in the state of Florida again. So that doesn't change in the state of Florida, but that changes nationally, right? Oh no, and actually it's mandated. It wasn't mandated before. I still think it's a great idea and it should be done all the time anyways. Not only to protect the buyer, but to protect the agent, protect everybody involved, because then transparency, right? So anyways, am I upset by the NAR settlement? Yeah, I am in a lot of ways. I hope that maybe it ends up being a benefit to the public in the end. Let me go over the last thing. Am I upset about it? Because a lot of people, you're going to be out of a job. I'm not going to be out of a job. Don't worry about me. I'm not upset about that. Matter of fact, this really, honestly, all of the outcomes for me as a business person are all good from this, okay? Because it's going to take a lot of people that some of them, quite frankly, shouldn't be in the business out of the business. Because they're not going to be able to adapt to the change. They're not going to want to. I don't know. I mean, there will be fallout from this. And there should be. And I'm not saying that we don't need some changes in real estate. I'm just saying I don't think this is I think some of this is more of a money grab than anything else, but that's my personal feeling. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to Living in South Florida Does Not Suck. Please do subscribe with the notification bell on. If you liked today's guest, you can also get more information about them right here. Like magic, it will appear. Anyways, we love having you here. We love having your friends here. Shout it out from the rooftops. Like us on Facebook. Share it with your friends. We'll see you soon here in beautiful, sunny South Florida.